Okay.
Okay, call this meeting to order. It is 4:04 p.m. on December the 1st. This is the League of Women Voters, Corpus Christi area. It is a nonpartisan grassroots civic organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. So now that we have reaffirmed and reminded ourselves of what we're about, what our mission is, and the things that we do. And so we'll go on to a roll call. Is there acting? There is, I do believe that we can say that there is established a quorum at this point. Okay, moving on. We also did receive from Liz minutes from this would be the October the 6th meeting is the last time we met. Did all of you receive those copies, and have you read through those? Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes?
Not
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept these as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the November 6th meeting as presented.
Thank you. And Sylvia Campos has seconded it. All those in favor, please raise your hand and wave. All right. The motion passes. We accept the minutes for the October the 6th, 2022 board meeting. We're going to move on now. Okay, we're going to, and this is this you?
That's
Sally?
Sally. Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Sally. All right. We're going to move on to Treasurer's Report. And now I think you're going to have two reports that you want to present with us. Is that correct?
Yes. Do y'all have them in front of you, or do you want me to put them up on the screen, or just let you know the highlights?
Whatever you prefer.
Well, why don't I just put them up so I don't forget anything?
That's good. I think that's good.
Okay. Share screen. Okay, so that's November. I'm going to jump back to October real quick. Okay. So yeah, October, the only kind of funky thing was we were getting contributions to the voter's guide, and I wasn't entirely sure about it. I almost created a new line, and then I put it under community support contributions. Is that correct? Does anybody have?
That's where you put them in the past.
That's what I thought. Okay. Let's see.
I do have a question about Encarnacion Serna, the $10.
Yeah, I'm leaving him up there until he sends the $10.
Well, yeah, I need to pay it because I just haven't done it. So it's me, not him.
You have it.
I'll be paying it. Yeah, I have it.
Well, do y'all want to, what does the board want to do with that? He paid 50 instead of 60 when he signed up, and Sylvia has contacted him, and so have I, and he always says, oh yeah, I'm going to send that in. And then
so yeah, I know. So let me just take care of it. It's not because he just forgets. Yeah.
Is it
anyway, but
someone you know well?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. So I'll just do it through Club Express.
Okay. Perfect.
And I'll make a note. I'll make a note on it.
Okay. And then coming down, the 7941 was reimbursement to Julie I put it under monthly luncheons because that's what it was. It was what she spent on the lunch and snack items for that meeting. at the library. Club Express, regular 24, printing, electronic meetings. This started in October. Catherine and I were working through it, and we were both running out of computer storage. And so we just went on Zoom and signed up for the extra cloud. We were running out of cloud storage. And so we are now paying the extra $10 per month, which it will be on there every month. It'll be a recurring payment every month. We have plenty of cloud storage now, so we won't lose anything. There was a dollar extra, and it's an administrative fee, and it was a one-time thing. 840, 11, 86, 64 admin, 5 the normal bank subscription, and then 81.64 to reimburse Chris for for one round of toner, but considering what Chris probably uses, that's awesome. Thank you. And then I put one extra note over here where I had in memberships where the students were. Sandra Sturba Boat Ride, as you'll probably remember, the month before had put in $150, and then she and Sylvia actually went out and got the students. So that's why you'll see at that double set at the bottom where donations to membership fund to pay for new student and individual members has been reduced by $185, because between them they got 30, which reduced it by $150. So that's up in there, but anyway. So does anybody have any questions about Chris? I reflect 3 advertisers. Am I right in that, or do you?
We have 4.
We have 4. I wonder if somebody paid before this year. I'm going to have to go back and look at that and make sure that I've got everybody posted. Okay.
Yeah, they're only 4.
Okay, but I only reflect 3 here on this line.
Okay.
So I'll go back and look at that and see when the 4th one was paid. Okay. Can I move on to November?
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, November. Membership dues, this one was really easy. Another round of contributions from the Port of Corpus Christi paid us $122.50 for their voter guides. $393 is combined PayPal and Square fees. And then we come down here and we took a big hit, but I knew that was coming, and I think Catherine did too. We are now, Club Express will now be taking the amount monthly so that we don't get billed for the PMP again. So they warned us when we signed up for it. It said they're going to go all the way back to January and take of the year before, I think it was, or whenever we got our last bill, and just take all of that at one time. So rather than getting a bill from LWV Texas, it all came out right here. So some of last year and this year to boot. And I'm waiting to hear back, because they also charged us $1.94, and on the bank statement it just said ADJ, as in adjustment. I called and I'm waiting for them to call me back to find out if that's some kind of adjustment. Did we get another member, or did they just miscalculate or whatever? And I think that is the big that's the only really things. This was a very, very easy month, at least for me. Anybody still have questions?
Yeah. On that Club Express and the, okay, I see. So it's $24 monthly fee. But they
For-
hit us for back payment that we hadn't paid yet. Now it'll be monthly.
Now it will be monthly. Mhm.
Okay. When they gave us the grant or whatever, how long was that for?
The grant paid all of the initial fees
Uh-huh.
for opening it, and the first year, the first
Yeah.
something, yes. And
Yeah.
now we are into the $24 a month.
Yeah.
They are billing us, LWVTX paid us for it, but they're billing us, but it's coming out of that initial payment until that runs out. And then, we'll still just continue to pay them $24 a month. So essentially, LWVTX covered the first year.
Mhm.
And so we have that in our account. But, it's still showing up, because they're billing us every month. Did I explain that correctly?
I don't know. Say it again.
Okay.
The,
So, when we got-
the state league gave us a grant to pay for the initial thing, the setup, which was like $1,000, and then the first year, right?
Of the
Now,
fees,
and
the
then we
24.
theoretically pay $24 a month for the rest of eternity that we use this, just to Club Express is $24 a month, not to be confused with the PMP that we owe the state taxes for our members, or we owe state for our members. That's a whole nother thing. We have to pay that too. And that comes out automatically every month now, instead of us writing a check at the end of the year. So those are two different things. If
Right.
that's
But
confusing
the
y'all.
$24 a month was actually given to us by Texas, but to cover the $24 a month fee that we are getting billed for every month from
Club Express.
from Club Express. So it
what you're
was in
what-
it was in the initial grant,
Right.
The grant.
but
So it's in the funds are in there from the grant, and
Right.
they just started the $24 a month.
and that was only for the first year.
The reason there's a big chunk is because they took out something that should have been done by month.
Well, what happened is that we have not gotten a PMP invoice from LWV Texas yet. And that was on purpose because they knew everyone would be going to this. Normally, about this time, we would be paying a big chunk of money to LWVTX for last year.
Right. But
Okay. And so the 5,000 is actually last year, which we would have been invoiced for, plus anything that is accumulated during the new fiscal year. And so now that big chunk has been paid, we'll be seeing a regular monthly, whenever we sign up new members, we will see the fee that's being paid to LWVTX taken out, or billed for. Okay.
So this will be a continual,
Yes. Yes.
the,
It is now automatic.
okay.
And
But it's only gonna be $24, is that correct?
no,
Okay,
Those are
I'm
again,
talking about two different things now, right?
Two different things.
Okay.
$24 a month for Club Express. Every month we owe Club Express $24 a month.
Okay,
Every month we will owe the League of Women Voters of Texas the PMP for members that we signed up that month.
any renewals or any new members.
And how much is that again? The
so then
PMP?
that means it's gonna be maybe a different amount each month?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
so-
$24 will
$24 is the same.
will come as it
Right.
does. And then there will be another Club Express electronic debit for whatever we are due to pay LWVTX.
So can you just go through that one more time about the the Texas League of Women Voters, we are paying for any new member. We're paying a fee for any new members. And what else now?
We pay LWV US a
Uh-huh.
fee, and we had already paid that, as if you can look at your screen right up here, we had already paid them. We had not paid the LWVTX,
Mhm.
and those bills, you know, come due, and we just pay them one big chunk for the previous year. Membership sends them, Sylvia, you know, sends them what our membership count is right now, and they bill us appropriately.
And
And
this is, what is the fiscal year on this? Is this May to May?
for them, it's
No.
June through May, isn't it?
June through May. Okay.
Sylvia, do you know?
No, but, well, I thought that now with the changing of, you know, it's based on whenever you make your payment, does that,
Right,
doesn't it
but
change?
we
Yeah.
had not paid, yes, we had not paid the prior year. They had not invoiced us for the prior year, which, as you can see, you know, that this is year to date is what we actually just paid. So
So it's
they
probably
got,
October. It's
they
the
got,
October
all-
fiscal year.
they got all of that,
Mhm.
okay? And then they also charged everything. So we would have gotten a bill for the prior year, which would have ended in
In May.
it, yeah. And so
Or-
they've also chunked out everything that would have been due since then. So we will no longer get a bill from the league, the Texas League. It will just go automatically out every month through Club Express. They will pay it and then they will bill us for it.
And
Oh,
at
no, no,
this
no.
point-
They will not bill us for it
No.
because they've already taken it.
So
this
I
is
just
a-
need, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is a
my apologies.
one-time big chunk thing. And from here on out, when our members pay their dues, Club Express is gonna
Everybody's
pay
going to-
league,
LW
pay the league. And so we just, you know, we will get what's left over.
Okay, but the main thing is that this amount, these amounts that you're showing here is not going to be ongoing. I mean,
No,
we're gonna,
no,
right? I mean,
right.
okay, so when does that end? Do we know when that ends?
That was it, that $5,076.
Okay,
But it's
We-
ongoing to the US.
Yeah,
Like that doesn't come, that's a
Texas.
yearly thing. And the
Yeah.
Texas one will be monthly.
Yes. But
Okay.
it's my understanding, and Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, they take it directly out of our, when
Club
when the
Express?
membership fee is
I have to
paid
go look it up. I
through,
don't know how it
no,
works.
when the membership fee is paid through Club Express.
They pay,
And when we, you know, if they're paid through PayPal or cash or whatever, and we post it to Club Express, Sylvia and or I, they will pick that up and deduct it
automatically, yeah,
automatically.
automatically deducted. That's why it's important to put it on Club Express.
Right.
And I understand what you're saying about, it's about the automatic deductions. I'm just concerned about the amount that will be taking. It will happen.
It's the same amount that has always, it's a
The same thing.
percentage of what we pay to the League of Women Voters of Texas for every new member. Always have, always will.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
paying the
And-
exact same amount we've always paid. It's just
Yeah.
now they're gonna take it out each time someone joins rather than one big chunk at the end. It's
Right.
really, it's the same amount either way.
Right.
No, that
Do
was
you
a
know what
good
that percentage
explanation.
is?
Beg pardon?
Do you know what that percentage is?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Catherine, do
It's
you
like,
remember?
I know we only end up between the US and Texas. I think we only end up getting about $16 per member. Does that sound about right, Catherine?
Out of the.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
out
Out of
of
out of the membership fee, that's about all that we get to keep. The rest of it goes to US and to state.
So, yep,
So
That's-
those are good. Is a good explanation. And I think that's why I've been trying to encourage folks to use the resources that the state and the US provide us, because we pay for that. And,
yes, we
Absolutely.
and
do.
they're
Exactly.
really good. I mean,
Mhm.
they're so good. And so we'll see that happen with the legislative session that's coming up. But if somehow we could, I think, help members understand, like, you've got all this.
All
it's
these
yours
resources,
too.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen unless
That was
anybody has
helpful.
further questions. Okay. And I don't know about the entire board, but for the most part, we knew that this ability was coming. It was part of the beauty, I guess, or for lack of a better word, of Club
Mhm.
Express, was that we would quit getting this chunk of money. It would normally have been about $4,000 to Texas, and it's a little over. It's like 4,600 to the US. And so what they do, now is just take it out as we go. It's not such a big hit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Are there any other questions for Anel about this? I think this has been a really good discussion about this. It's been a while since we visited this, and so it's really good to, now that we're in the stage of being fully vested in it. I think this is an important conversation to have, so we're all on the same page of where the funds are going and for what purposes and when.
And this will make it very a lot more convenient for an incoming treasurer and also for membership. And Chris, since you're keeping the role, Vicky Natali, I believe, has joined us as an attendee.
Okay, I don't see her on my screen.
She's not. She's an attendee, so she's not on the screen.
Oh, okay,
She's
Okay.
not a panelist.
okay.
Okay. Are there
Uh,
any other? Go ahead, Anel.
Vicky, if there's at some point that you would like to comment on something or, have something said, just put it in chat and we will keep an eye on it and pick it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you once again, Anel, for this, your presentation on the financial report. And thanks to all of you for asking your questions. I think it's really important for us to understand where our money is coming from and where it's going. And I think that helps us to keep a perspective as we do our program planning and events and things. So thank you again, Anel. I appreciate the work that you put into this number crunching.
And questions are welcome anytime. Sometimes somebody may see something that I don't, or say, why is that not there, or why is that there, and helps everybody to understand. Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Alice, did you still have a question?
No, I'm kind of good now, but I just want
Okay.
to kind of understand that pattern of deductions and all of that, so that, because we only visit this like once a year in a sense. And so almost without fail, every year we have to kind of have the same conversation, same questions, because we don't visit this on a monthly basis. So I did get my questions answered. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Well, let's move right along. Anel, thank you for your work. It is at times tedious, I know, as number crunching is. So I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into this. Let's move right along. And I see, Eli, that you're here. What can you tell us, please?
Hey everyone. Yes, I have a pretty brief report since, the election has passed and we got through all of the big, wonderful hurdles. Mainly just want to say thank you to everyone who was able to help make sure that we got the voters guide out and the candidate forums done, and we're able to really ensure that we educated our base and our area as much as we possibly could. So that being said, thank you, Debbie. I saw you posted today about the runoff election information. I think that's super important, as most people, don't really know about runoffs, let alone the where and the why and the when. So thank you so much for sharing that. If anybody could go ahead and share that, the more shares we get from the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi social media, the better the algorithm will be, and the more people will see our posts and get that information. So I really don't have much else to give, but I am open to questions. Please lay them on me. Let me know what's on y'all's mind. Anel, I saw your hand go up first. You're on mute.
Okay. It was not to you. I'd like to be recognized for something else about the Treasury after you're done.
Okay, thank you. Alice, did you have a question?
No, I was actually trying to get my hand down.
Okay.
But I did want to commend Eli and her group and all of those people that got out there and kind of made this happen for our voting. And Eli is still on the job. She was by my house the other day and she was surprised who answered the door when she knocked. But Eli, I just want to thank you for all of that hard work and the foot pounding and being out there and sweating and we are so blessed to have you in our group, and I say thank you.
Thank you.
Brava, brava.
Thank you very much.
I think
It's
we
very
all
kind.
concur with those sentiments.
Yes.
I have a quick, just some additional information, and I don't know if you've seen this, and I apologize since I have been out of pocket for a considerable amount of time. I was looking back at my emails and going through them, and one of the things that I got, and I don't know, Eli, if you received this from LWV Texas, but it was about the Vote 411 use in Corpus Christi. And plus all of the other cities most of the other cities in Texas. And so what it did is that it gave, it did from January 1, 2022 to May, the end of May. And then it also did a report from January through November the 8th. And so what it was it was tracking the number of users, how many new users, the number of sessions, and the number of the bounce rate, as well as the number of pages seen, and then the average session duration. And it's really, I think, some of these figures are good. The overall from November, between November or January through November as versus January through May. It was nearly over doubled the number of people who were going on to Vote 411. And I'll make sure I share these with you, Eli, but I wanted to go ahead and get these out today. Also, the number of new users nearly not quite tripled in terms of, so again, getting the message out was important. And these numbers, these are good for a community our size. Of course, there'll be more responses to this in the larger metropolitan areas, but for a city our size, that's really important. Also, the bounces, the bounce rate was pretty high for the primary, but the bounce rate was very low during the regular election, which is good.
What is
good
bounce rate? What does that mean?
It means that one of the things that it can mean, and I need to go back and see what the parameters were, is that there wasn't not all of the races were covered, so that, if you put that in, it's not going to be there, something like that. And so so those are generally when something there's not enough information there, or you've entered the wrong information, that kind of thing. And so that bounce rate was much lower during leading up to the November 8th election. So that's a good thing to know. Also, the time spent We know, strangely enough, people spent more time on it earlier in the year, but less time. And I like to think it's because of the information that we've gotten out about it, and they know where to look and they know what they're looking for. The average session time actually, interestingly, also reduced, was less during January through November. As it was. So that's another interesting thing. But I think all in all that the number of users substantially increased. And so for the use of Vote 411. And so then I just think that's important information for us to know and to look at ways that down the road we could use that information to hopefully increase that usage.
Is it
So
still?
congratulations. Good for you, Eli.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thanks for sharing that. I love data and, I'm all about the numbers. So that was very encouraging.
Well, I'll
Very.
send you the spreadsheets of all of them so you can see.
I was just gonna ask, what about the runoff? Is that 411? Because I left it on my materials. I'm just curious because I didn't remove anything. So I guess 411 is still gonna be available for the runoff information? I don't know. Anybody know?
I don't think it would be still up, right, Catherine?
Right.
Because
They
it's
usually,
state, right?
yeah. And
I
so,
thought about that, Sylvia, earlier, because I went to put in my address to check it, but then realized that I don't live in any one of the 3 districts. So I just went ahead and cut and pasted the 411 information, the voter guide information about the 6 people in the races. And
Okay.
I put them on our Facebook page. So they're now just 6 photos, including the Billy Lammer one that says he didn't do it, just so people know
Okay.
that he was there.
I'm
So
gonna
I
have
did
to
that. So
okay.
it's all still in our voter guide, which is still up, which is still online. And I just pulled out those 6 people and put them on our Facebook page because I was worried about 411 not working.
Okay, thank you.
Alice?
Yes, and y'all, please forgive me. I cannot get my hand down, so just ignore it. But I did want to make a comment about our voter guides. When we had our quasi meeting the other night at the brewery, the gentleman that runs the place and does the bingo, he did ask about the voter guides. And so we were able to give him a little bit of information as to where they were being distributed, the different organizations and different offices around town. So the voter guide is still very popular. And this, I was so pleased when he came up to us and asked us about the voter guide itself. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that what we do is not going unnoticed, even with the least people that we would assume would be looking for it. So he did ask, he said he'd like to read it. He liked what we put in it because it gave him some insight on the candidates, and he was really giving us a good compliment on those voter guides. So kudos to all of you.
Awesome. Other questions, comments for Eli? All right, Eli, I can tell you're on the road. Thank you for tuning in with us.
And I apologize for being a little late.
No, not at all. If not, let's move on. Julie, are you able to, excuse me, Anel, you wanted to, I'm sorry. You need to unmute.
2 things. My memory hit a couple of days ago, and I wanted to remember to bring up. We started the bylaws committee, I believe, in December of last year. There are not a great many changes because the group that I had did such a fantastic job. But I do know that there is under financial administration in the in our bylaws that we left in at the time that new members who join between February 1 and May 31 will be paid up for the upcoming fiscal year, which is no longer an issue. So that is one thing that's going to have to be changed in the bylaws. I'm sorry, I should probably have sent this as part of the agenda. But, and then shortly after that, we started the budget committee. Because the budget has to be submitted 3 months before, excuse me, the annual meeting to go through any, you know, to go out to the membership and get so on. So those are two things that I wanted to put to the forefront of people's minds. And we need to recruit a couple of board members and a couple of non-board members for each of those.
Okay, and so, okay, well, since we, what's your pleasure here? Are you ready to discuss people and to make recommendations? I mean, typically, refresh my memory, and now, Chris, chime in if you don't. For the budget committee, there are 3 people or 4.
I think it's a minimum of 3, isn't it,
That's what I was
Chris?
thinking, minimum of 3.
We had Alice and
Sally.
Sally and so was it Sylvia Whitworth? There was somebody else that worked with us. Liz Riggle
Yes.
and me. So there were 3 board members, and Sally, I don't believe, was a board member at the time. I know we have to have at least one non-board member on there.
Right.
Just
right.
like we do with the budget committee.
Right. Right. So,
And Chris, what you weren't on
I don't
bylaws?
know. The years have blurred together, but are you talking about oversight committee or the budget preparation committee?
I'm talking about the bylaws committee right now. We need to relook at it. That was the only thing I really noticed was that paragraph under financial administration needs to be changed to reflect that section no longer reads true.
Yeah, didn't we change that for the annual meeting? We put the bylaws in the back of the annual meeting. Did we not change that to get rid of that phrase about, you know, joining after February 1st and you get the year and a half? I thought we removed that for the annual meeting.
I thought we did too, but under section
I don't remember us removing that.
Article 6 under
It was a
financial
rewrite.
administration.
And what are you looking at right now? The actual bylaws in the booklet or your separate?
I am
account
looking
bylaws?
in the booklet,
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
page 21, under
Right.
financial administration. Under dues, that still reads the same. And I
Okay.
thought that we had changed that, but it may have been because we weren't going into Club Express until June, maybe, or
Was that an amendment? Would you go earlier if you're looking at the annual meeting booklet? Go back to the page on amendments.
I'm looking at Chris. I'm looking at page 21 in the annual workbook under Article 6, financial administration. With our fiscal years commencing on the first day of June, it says section 2 dues. Article A, the date for renewal of dues for all members is June 1. New members who join between February the 1st and May 31st will be paid up for the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay, what I'm saying is
I'm looking for the
amendments.
amendments right now. And
The bylaws in the back of the book may not reflect what amendments we voted on. And I remember working on that paragraph with Annelle. So
Okay.
up earlier on page 8 or 9, something
here we go.
like
Yep,
that.
on 10. Proposed amendments to here it is. Yes, we did vote in the date for the renewal of new members. That was the way it was, and we did put the new paragraph in there, but it's going to need to be submitted or rewritten into the bylaws.
Right.
the bylaws were printed in the annual guide. The
As they
amendment was
stood.
passed.
Okay.
So now we're going to actually have to write it into the bylaws. So if you guys would, I'd like you all to take a minute to look at well, this probably should be you, Catherine, but everybody should look at the bylaws and those amendments on page 10. So all of those amendments were passed, and we will have to work them into the new. So we have the bylaws and we have the policy guide, and
Right.
those two things.
And so what we're saying right now is that we need to go ahead and update those documents and then distribute them to put them again as we normally, distribute it to the board and to membership. And also that would be putting them online for Club Express, correct?
And I was the previous chair. I don't mind, since I've got all of this on my computer, submitting those things, but I mean, are rewriting them into the new bylaws. But I want everybody else to look at them, and besides the amendments, see if there's anything else that we now need to update.
And
Follow
Anil,
me?
Right,
may
but I'm
have-
saying, I'm just making sure that we're clarifying here that the on the proposed amendments, the amendment is already written. It's just a matter of putting it into that document.
Yes.
And then what I'm hearing, I want to make sure that, we're all understanding what you're saying, is that then in addition to that, we should be looking at other things that we might need to do an amendment to.
Yes.
Okay.
Any updates? Chris, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I think after the annual meeting, I communicated either with you or Catherine and told you that I had the original bylaws and that I could make those corrections. And I'm thinking Debbie needs to clarify, because this was in that movement of between May and June and July. I think the new bylaws are on the website. And Debbie, I can check.
I'm
Yay.
looking at them right now and I'm trying to see where it says 2020, June 13th, 2020. I think you guys can look at it and see what it is. I just put the link in the chat so you can go you can go click on it in there and you can see that's our annual meeting workbook, and it says current bylaws. Now, if there's another one that needs to go on top of that, just somebody send it to me and I'll put it up there.
Yeah, our bylaws probably ought to stand as a separate PDF, and unless I'm just
They
completely
are.
wrong.
That is a separate PDF right there I'm looking at.
Okay,
Right.
then
So
may not have gotten it on board, but I remember working on the original set from Anil and putting in those new amendments, but I need to go check.
I can
Okay.
look at that too.
This,
Okay.
this looks like it's
Bylaws
on-
and policy guide,
okay.
although the amendments were just to the policy guide. Thank you, dear.
Right.
I'm guessing
to the
this is
bylaws.
June 13th, 2020. So whatever bylaws I have up there are from June 13th, 2020.
And that's old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's out of date. So that's
right.
out of date.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. So what we need to do then, let me make sure we're all on the same page here, is that we need to make a fresh copy of our bylaws and to include the amendments that were made at the annual meeting in May of 2022.
And Chris
then-
thinks that that's been done.
I
And
think
so-
so.
Okay, and so we just need to find those and then get them published. Okay, and then distributed, make sure, because we'll want to send copies of these to the membership as well. Okay, all right, so we still have the business about a new bylaws committee and a new budget committee coming up, where we have deadlines for those coming up. And so we need to have a minimum of 3 people for the budget committee, correct? Okay, and at least 2 of those are board members?
Preferably 2 and 2.
2 and 2, okay, so 4 in total. And so Anel has said she would serve as one of the board positions. Is that correct, Anel?
As one of the chairs for those?
One of the for the budget committee that you would serve as a member.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else who is on here today who would serve the other board member position for the budget committee?
Come on.
Alice, is that your?
I got a little finger up.
All right. How? Okay. All right. So we have Alice and Anel for.
I think I just unrelatedly, sort of unrelated to that, I think I just found the bylaws, the current one. They're
Yay.
up there. I just had to.
Yay.
They're not in the most prominent place they could be. They're in the list where all the documents are. There's like a
Okay.
whole page
Did-
where you can find every document we ever had, and it's
Did-
in there. So I apparently just didn't pull it out and update it. So
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank
does
you.
it reflect the new amendments?
I don't know. It says adopted 4/6/2022. That's all
Okay,
I know.
That should be it. That should be it.
but it won't, that one won't include the amended version. We need the amended version.
When is the amended version that wasn't 4/6? Yeah, that's what I have, I think.
The date should be the May date of the annual meeting,
Right.
Oh, right. Let's
theoretically on
see.
the bylaws.
April 8th. Oh, wait, that's in the final workbook. Amendments to bylaws, PDF. Let's see. It says proposed amendments to bylaws as revised for 2022.
Okay,
That's all like highlights and stuff. That's not a.
yeah.
That's not a documented per se.
And the
Yeah.
amendments were passed, so we should have a new copy, right, of the bylaws with that in there. With the amendments, the accepted amendments in the bylaws. Is correct,
Okay.
Chris?
And I don't mind in the next few days going back to my files. I've kept everything for years, but I'm pretty sure that that was completed and that I sent clean copies, if not to the board, then at least to the president and treasurer and to Debbie. So I'll just double check
Okay.
and let you guys know.
I'm
Okay.
gonna, Chris, I'll send you the link to what I have here and you can tell me if I don't have
Okay.
it or not.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All
I
right.
was on that-
Excuse
I'm
me. Go
sorry.
ahead, Alice.
Well, this is just a sidebar. I was on that committee and I do remember when we went over it, we made the recommendations and then we also went back and Anel in our presence went in and changed all of that language. Not only on the budget committee, but on the bylaws committee, we did the same thing. So it was finished. And whether it was actually identified as the finals, we did finish that. We did.
Maybe
Yes, you
we just
did.
didn't change the date at the top. It's very possible that that's the right one.
Right. Okay. All right. Moving on. So that means we still need two members to serve on the budget committee, and that's something that we can work on. So if you have recommendations, please let me know. For non-board members, we also bylaws committees. Again, we're going to need both board members for that as well as non-board members for that. So
And it should be an easy year.
Yeah.
yeah.
We worked hard last year.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. All of you did.
Yes, we
We
did.
appreciate your efforts very, very much. So you don't feel like you have to answer now, but know that we need to take care of this by the earliest at our next at board meeting so that we can get the ball rolling on this. Okay. Questions?
I
All
need to
right.
step away for just a sec.
Okay. All right, let's move on if that's okay. And Julie, are you able to join us?
Okay, I'm gonna try. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes.
It keeps flashing up that it's unstable internet. I don't know why, but anyway, please see the note in the chat. There was you should have gotten my report earlier, so I'm not going to revisit it. But because we had that informal meeting at the barbecue brew, Bobby Wood Hughes came and she also participated in all the redistricting stuff. And we launched a membership survey at that meeting just you know, get a feel for it, because thank you, Eli. Thank you, Sylvia. And I think Catherine probably helped as well, and whoever else did, I'm sorry if I didn't mention you, but we have a 1-page membership survey now. That's a hard copy that we floated around, and she filled it out. And she said she's a CPA and she would serve on a short-term committee. So there's a budget committee person. Yay! All right.
Awesome.
We also, that meeting, you know, was really interesting because there was 15 people there, which is more than we've had in an in-person meeting in a while. And we were glad to be able to visit with folks. It was informal. We didn't make decisions, but we did the surveys, and I think we got 9 of the 15 filled them out. And I asked them, are you using Club Express? Because I'm still trying to get used to it. And I think that we have to push our members more on that, as well as using our League of Women Voter Texas and national resources. And not very many people are. There was mostly no's. So I talked to Catherine about it earlier, and we got to, you know, get people on that, because it is yet again another underused resource that once we learn how to use it, including me, it will be much better. So what else do I have to report on? I think everybody's done a great job this year, and that we were a wonderful team. That to Catherine earlier today too, everybody helps each other out. But what I've been doing is, we had a program planning, and it's showing I'm unstable, the internet connection, not me. But we had another informal program planning meeting, because another reminder to folks is, you know, the annual meeting is on our heels. We're talking about budget committees. But if you look at the timeline for program, members can submit a program proposal 2 months before before we send out the program to our members to vote on, so that when we send it out, that has to be in April. And so in February, that means the board has to vote on any proposed program sent in by our membership. So we all need to be thinking about that as well. And I'm telling you, it's right around the corner. Because of that, I had an impromptu, informal program planning meeting. It was really rooted in DEI. Thank you, Alice. She co-chaired it. And it was just for us to get an understanding of where we could go using the DEI vision and lens, because we're very committed to do that. It went well, and I believe I put that in the notes as well, and I'm not going to cover any more than that, except for be aware, if you know people who want to do proposed program, they need to start getting it turned in. The board, we're going to be voting on it like really soon. So what we do know is we like to dream big, and we reach for the stars, and we don't always get it. So we haven't really built a lot of our units. And what I'm trying to do from now until the annual meeting is get that observer program going, because I really think if people can start seeing their government in action, it'll help. It'll build a good foundation to get them interested in our positions and issues. So I did send out with the report a little intro to observer program, and then also a 1-page form that they can send back email. And I think it's going to be fun, and I hope to get people started more on it in January, and do outreach from now. But I know the world shuts down, so it's kind of hard to get a hold of people. But on the Club Express, there's a group of people who are interested in the observer program that I did not know about, and I haven't even talked to, and so I have to get to them. The other thing is the legislative session. It started. They're filing bills, and we attended a workshop with the Texas Advocacy chair, and that's what part of those PMPs go to. So they're going to help us get through the legislative session, and they got us through. We don't do it, we follow their lead. Okay. And they want us to do legislative interviews, and really it's I would think of it more as introductions, where we have a lot of new members. It's for members only. They want us to just talk to the legislators before they head up to Austin, if they're not there already, and just have them tell us a little bit more about themselves and what they're interested in doing for the legislative session. It is not lobbying, it's purely relationship building to get us ready for the session. That's what the state wants us to do. And I did list that as an action item. A lot of the other leagues, you can do it any way you want. Sylvia Whitworth attended the meeting, so she can also cover anything that we don't know. But what they did say is some leagues were having Christmas parties, and so they were inviting people to that. But we could do a Zoom meeting if we wanted. And so I did check in with Catherine earlier, and I think a Zoom meeting would be great if we could just invite them. And we could do it on our regular second Saturday, members only, and just ask them. We know they're as busy as heck, but could they just visit us for like 10 minutes? And that's where we're at on it. I would love some feedback on that particular direct action item, because the session opens right on January 10th. So we got to be ready to roll then. The other thing before I get feedback on that legislative interview is, I'm so sorry, I can't remember the issue chairs or the advocacy chair's name, but Catherine, because she said that the state had established priority issues for the legislative session, and that we were going to focus on voting rights, of course, and election laws, and gun safety and reproductive rights. And then I talked to Tim, because he's also, he can report back on, he talked to the gun safety chair, and she didn't really it wasn't like we're not going to cover it, but it didn't seem like it was a priority issue. And we know it's an issue, and we'll be watching it. But we didn't know how accurate that was on our priority issues. So that's about it from me. Questions, feedback, and Catherine, if you can fill in any gaps, and Tim as well.
Okay. And I'm going to mute myself to preserve my bandwidth.
Okay. So any questions?
Julie, do you want me to break up your report for different stories in the December voter? We're working on that in the next few days.
That'd be great. And do what you do. Thank you so much for doing the voter and helping us all with that. Do what you want. You can do that, and then let me know how I can help you.
Okay.
All right. I'm good right now. Thank you all, everybody, for getting us all through these months. And Ellen's good. We're all healthy. Thanks.
Okay.
Catherine,
Other questions? Yes, go ahead, Tim.
Let me just elaborate a little bit on what Julie said. I contacted the lady who's the chair for the league statewide, Amy Turney, who's lives in Houston, works for a state representative or state senator, I can't remember which, but anyway, somebody in the Texas legislature is his, I can't remember what they call it, basically the person who deals with the people in his district, kind of the initial contact person. And I said, what's the league's plan on gun safety? And she said, well, traditionally, we haven't really done very much. We've kind of counterpunched. So if somebody files a bill that we like or we don't like, we will let our opinions be known on particular bills. But we don't typically say, here's what we would like. And say, we would like to do, a red flag law or a background check, or keeping assault weapons out of the hands of people under 21 or whatever they would like. They just kind of strictly counterpunch, which I was frankly pretty disappointed to hear. I was hoping that they would take a more, I guess, affirmative position and basically say, here's what the League of Women Voters would like. And then that way, I would think that would be a good place for some of the members of the legislature to use that as a jumping off point and an advocacy point. So I recall that the person in charge of programming when we had the statewide meeting up in Austin was the former president of the League for the USA. Can't remember her name. Sounded a pretty impressive lady. I think she was a former federal prosecutor. Anyway, somebody pretty impressive. So Catherine, I was just wondering if you heard through discussions with other statewide league presidents, maybe a little bit more, or whether there's any inaccuracies on what I was told. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there for discussion.
Tim, I will just say I have not, and I've been out of pocket and haven't yet finished going through all of my emails and backup. But if I do, I will certainly let you know.
Okay, appreciate that.
Did Tim, did you bring it up as to why the league doesn't have a position or make a stance? Because we kind of do already, but why wouldn't that have been presented?
Well, no, I didn't really press her on it hard, Sylvia. She just said traditionally we haven't done that. And I didn't ask the follow-up question, well, why haven't we done that? Probably should have, but it was a conversation.
What Tim and I had talked about is the way, Sylvia, my understanding too is, and we're all going to keep learning more about the legend. And of course, Chris has some incredible institutional knowledge, but they focus on, they identify those priority issues and put more, it is more, that's the priority. It's not that we don't follow the other stuff. There's issue chairs for everything. And so if something percolates up and they need to call us to action, or they know a certain rep needs to hear from constituents, then they'll get in touch with us and let us know what's going on. And they kind of guide us through the issues. And so the way I interpret it is that gun safety hasn't been, it's not that it's not an issue, but it hasn't been a priority issue. And so this McNamara, that's her name, Elizabeth McNamara, she made it sound, she announced to that group that it was a priority issue this year. Now I'm thinking, oh yeah, because of Uvalde, but I don't know. And so because Tim and I both got different responses, we thought the best thing to do is, let Catherine know, and she can then tell us like where we're at. Because I can tell you that I did mention it to some members because I was pretty, and it was very well received. People were like, oh, good, yay. So I don't know.
So now that, go ahead.
Let me mention one other thing I forgot to add. When I was talking to the gun issue chair, Amy Turney, this is probably about 3 weeks ago. It was whatever the first day was that bills could be filed. She actually searched for various things on firearms. And there was one bill that kind of combined firearms and elections. Doesn't sound like a good combination, but she said that one of the bills being proposed would allow election judges to carry weapons with them when they're doing their work at the polling place.
Oh my God.
It wasn't clear to me whether that was only if you had a concealed carry permit or whether it was anybody as long as you're an election judge. Just as a background, I remember reading the Supreme Court's opinion after it came out in June, which pretty fundamentally reshaped Second Amendment law. And one of the things they did say is they said, well, you can keep guns out of sensitive places. And so one of the legal questions is, what's a sensitive place? And I believe I'm recalling this correctly, that Justice Thomas' opinion said a sensitive place is a polling place. So if my memory is correct, and I'm pretty sure it is, one response to that law would be you can.
I thought too, well, I guess it's the federal laws apply. If it was a polling place is on a federal, if it's in a federal location, they still have to follow the federal.
Yeah, but we don't really have federal voting locations. We just have places where people vote on federal elections, but the state runs that. So to my knowledge, there's nothing in federal law that says you can have or you can't have guns at a polling location. So I guess my point was, I'm pretty sure I'm recalling this correctly, that among the sensitive places listed in the opinion as an example, not a comprehensive list, but as an example, was voting locations, polling places. So one response to that proposed bill would be, yes, you can restrict this under the Second Amendment. So if the sponsor of the bill said the Second Amendment requires this, you could say, no, it doesn't. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting combination of firearms and elections. So addressing two priority issues in one bill.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Well, I need to, as you well know, I've been out of pocket, so I need to get caught back up. But I think this certainly we can have additional conversations about this and directions, what directions we can, and get, check in with state LWV Texas again, Elizabeth McNamara, and see, what exactly we can expect from them in order to be in alignment with the direction that they're going. So thank you, Tim, for sharing that information. It's very, very interesting, very, very interesting. Julie, thank you too for chiming in on this. Anything else on? I'm kind of speeding up now. We've got some more things we need to do. So I thank you both for your input. Is there any? Are there any other questions for either Julie or Tim? Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so very much for that information. Sylvia.
Okay, my report is just going to be short and sweet. I'm just going to
Okay.
give you the outright numbers. For the students, we have 34 students as members, and we have 143 regular members, so a total of 177. As you know, I declared it 6 months ago, whatever, that we wanted to reach 200. I don't know, it could happen, but right now we're still having a little bit of an issue with the students. In this last request for the informal meeting, it started out really well. I called the first student and she was like, yeah, we're interested in going, but were y'all serious about rides? And I said, yeah. So I got on the phone, called Annelle, checked in with Sandy, and none of them went, as far as I know. So it's going to take some effort to draw them in. But it's hopeful, at least with the number of students that we have. As soon as this election is over, I know Sandy and I and whoever else wants to join us to see what we can do to nurture them, or to help them be part of the League of Women Voters. So anyway, hopefully maybe at the beginning of the year we'll be looking at that. So that's it.
All right. Tim, you have a question?
Yeah, Sylvia, I just had a question of the 34. Were they all high school students, or was there a mix of college and high school?
There was a mix of college, like maybe 3 college students, not very many.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Annelle, did you have a question for Sylvia? Okay. Sylvia, again, I'm excited for you that you've gotten that many students, and I understand it's difficult to get students to participate. Please be sure and check out what other leagues in the state are doing. That's often a good way to start out with is, well, what have other people done and what has the results of that been? And San Antonio has a really good program. Harris County, the Houston area has a really good program for young people. And so I would encourage you to check out what their resources and what some of the things that they have done to pull them in, to get them engaged in conversation and with not just a conversation, but active participation in the league work. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, Alice.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be short and sweet too. I'm not going to belabor this, but Julie and I did get together to talk about the DEI. And so basically what we have planned is a couple of meetings. Our next meeting or event is going to be in February, which is Black History Month. And we are thinking and talking about a focus group and perhaps having the marginalized groups or people representing those groups and talking about inclusiveness and inclusivity. We're also going to be looking again and working on our book banning events. And I don't know if any of you have been keeping up with it, but several around the country, there has been initiatives to remove people off of school boards. The new leaders of the state and their local communities, they actually removed some new people that just got reelected to the boards off of those boards based on their ideologies. So this thing is really ramping up. And so we're going to take a stab at maybe having a focus group and preparing for Black history and trying to get some information out to the community on Black history and getting people involved.
Sounds good. Questions for Alice?
Say, Alice, Tim, just clarify one thing for me. One thing you said there sounded pretty disturbing, if I understood it correctly. You said that,
you did.
People got elected, but then they got removed. So I'm thinking, you just got elected. Who has the legal power to remove you? I never heard of that.
Well, I just barely caught the tail end of it, and I see Debbie shaking her head, and she probably heard some of that similar information. But it was, I want to say, it was governors that intervened, and they literally removed a couple of school board members that were recently elected. And I don't have the specific place. But not here. But the point is that it's kind of like a cancer, and these states that are very conservative, super conservative people that were voted in are now beginning to flex their muscles and exercise their ability to move people in and out of positions if they don't share the same ideologies and concerns. And so that was really important to me. And that all connects back to school boards, having people to come in and be observers. That was another thing that we as a group have pretty much been trying to push out there. I think that our secretary has gone, she was there at one of our meetings. And so we are going to start hammering down on some of these initiatives that are being perpetuated out in our communities to try to see if we can't tamp down some of the rhetoric and some of these nasty things that are going on. I mean, when one is threatened, we are all threatened. And so we just need to actually take note of that and start putting together and flexing our muscles in terms of what we believe in and using our statements to kind of bolster what we're trying to do, where all people can be accepted regardless of who you love, where you live, and all of that. So I think that come February, when we start our Black History Month, one of the programs that we're going to have is going to feature many of our marginalized members in our community. I've actually been talking to one of the security guards at the school board. He is a chief, and they have their meetings and their communals and their dancing and their prayers and all of that. And as long as we can educate people, I think that is that is the component that is often missed. And if people know about you, they have a tendency to be a little more receptive. I don't know if anybody happened to have seen, I said I was going to make it short, and I am, seen this young man that plays for the American soccer team. His name is Adams. He's the captain of the soccer team for the U.S. And he had there was an interview by an Iranian reporter,
Yep.
and he tried to bait him in, saying that why would you? This is a black young man. You know, how are you? You know, feeling about playing for a country that continuously, you know, puts down your people of color and so on and so forth. And I loved his answer. Matter of fact, he was highly touted on some of the morning talk shows because he basically took him to school, and the premise of his comments were, education is what helps us all come together as one and to get along and be able to live in a harmonious environment. And so I think that if we start to really talk to people, get involved and come to know who they are and their customs, and acknowledge their customs, because we all want to be acknowledged in some way, somehow, not only just individually, but as a unit, as a group of people, as people that have common goals and that type of a thing. So that's why I'm really strong on trying to get a group of people together so we can have some discussions and tie it into our DEI, to our book banning, and I was really glad that they passed the law for the same-sex marriage so that that can be put to rest, hopefully. But anyway, that's what we are planning on doing, and we want to have a focus group, and there's more information to come real soon.
All right,
Thank you,
very
Alice.
good. Thank you, Alice. Good
Sorry I took so
report.
long. Okay.
All right, Tim, anything other you want to add to communications and media?
Just real briefly, it's always hit and miss with the media. You contact them and you never know exactly what's going to happen. We did get, I believe it was Eli on KRS TV to talk about our November 17th, I think it was, meeting, the one that Julie mentioned at the Oasis Brewing Company.
Mhm.
And I just had one question, and Julie, if you're still there, I don't know if you know the answer yet. I did send out in the press release the information about the meeting on January the 19th with Professor Carlos Huerta, who's going to be talking about maybe going to a different system for picking our city council members. And I know the date, but I was wondering if we had a time or a location yet, or is that still to be determined?
Can you hear me?
Now we
Yes.
can-
Yes.
Okay.
Or not.
I think she's still working on the time and location.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Well, I just wanted to know, and if I'd had it, I was going to put it in the press release sooner rather than later, but I'll just wait. But that's all I've got, Catherine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that, Tim. Debbie, welcome home.
Oh, it's
Glad
good to
you're-
be back, to be back.
Time.
Alice, the group is Moms for Liberty, and I know
Yes.
that we can read articles about what they're doing in other parts of the country, but we have an active group here in Oasis County.
Yes.
We know who runs it and we know who they are. So if you want to keep track of them, you can look for Moms of Liberty of Oasis County or Corpus Christi on Facebook, and you can find out what they're up to.
All right, thank you.
So that's that. That was that. And now you'll be very happy to know that I remembered that I still hadn't renewed my membership. So I did that while I've been sitting here. So I am now all renewed. I got an auto-generated note from Sylvia thanking me. So thanks, Sylvia. And also to our question earlier, so I just paid $60, which is what an ordinary individual membership is. $32 of that goes to the United States League, and $22 of it goes to the Texas League. So that means we keep 6 out of that $60. We keep 6. Those larger organizations vote on that every year at their annual meeting, and they decide what to do. And they've kept their numbers the same for the last couple years. But that's what that is, in case anybody wants to know. Observer Corps, The World Affairs Council, which I'm on also, is having a great discussion on December 19th, which I just shared onto our Facebook page. In case anybody wants to go, it's about Iran and crisis and women hijabs and all that kind of thing. They have a guy coming to talk about Iran, which is a very timely thing right now. So if
Yes.
anybody wants to go check that out, I put that on our Facebook page. I want people to continue to be aware of clones. Just since I've been sitting here, somebody tried to clone me. So when you get friend requests from people on Facebook, don't accept them. If it's somebody that you know and you think you're already friends with, it's just somebody who has stolen their picture, created a new account, and is now going to try to pretend to be them. So just be careful of that. Don't befriend people you think you're already friends with, or at least go check first.
Yes.
And you can always click the little button to the side and report them so that Facebook will go in and delete it and take it down. The survey, I know you guys are talking about doing a survey, and you do realize, like Julie, you pointed out, if as a member, if you go onto the website, there is on the little, if you sign in under your own name, as opposed to just a general public, you see a button about interests, and you can go and click on all the things that you're interested in doing. And Catherine and I worked hard to put that all together because it all goes along with all of the committees that we have and all of the things that we have going on. And also, when I just went to renew, that popped up also. Every time you join or renew, that screen pops up. So anybody who's the head of a committee, or you just want to go look at those, just go look and see who signed up and said they were interested in anything. And Chris, would it be useful if I write a little thing about the website again? I know it's been a while. Maybe you can do it again. We can do it again for the voter to try to encourage people to use it.
Absolutely. Whatever you send me, I will use.
We do it occasionally, and then, you know, people forget, and we can do it again.
Yeah, send me whatever.
Okay. Other than that, I'm just trying to keep the website and the Facebook page up to date. Occasionally I go on Twitter. I rarely ever do Instagram. I always forget to use my own Instagram. So yeah, Alice, you got a question?
Yes. I was earlier in the meeting, there's still talk about the lack of the members using the website more. And I know, Debbie, that you did early on when we first started talking about Club Express, I think you did a tutorial on how to use the website and all of that. I was just, or something to that effect.
Yep.
And I think that many people don't use it because there is a lot of stuff on there. And so I was just wondering, and this is just food for thought, if it was possible that you could maybe do a mini tutorial that is on the front page of the web page that somebody can actually click on, and you can kind of do a quick guide through so that they won't have to be playing with it and trying to figure out and have it kind of permanently there, so that maybe that would encourage people to use it more rather than just going on and trying to, you know, go here and there and find. However, that playing with it probably is more beneficial and fruitful for the individual. Yeah. But for those who, you know, just don't want to do that at this point, or even have the time to do it, maybe a mini tutorial on the web page itself. And I know that's asking a lot, but
oh no, I totally get it. I'm one of those people that I hate watching videos. I understand that many people do. I just never watch them because I always have the sound off and I don't want to hear other people talking. But I understand that videos are very big these days. On the other hand, a website is also one of those things where that menu system should be set up so that you can find things very easily. I mean, there's a menu system that says voting resources, and there's only a couple of things on it, and it says 2022 runoff election. That's literally the first thing on it. Or it says general election, or it says primary election. I mean, the things that are on there are not hard to find. So, I mean, I don't know how much easier I could make it, because the menu system is supposed to be what it tell you where the things are. Like it says the voter, like literally it says the voter, you click on that and there they all are, including the most current one. And I've even gone to trying to put stuff, repeating it and putting it on the homepage as well as where it's supposed to go, just so people can find it. But,
what it is, it's a behavior change for ourselves and our members. It's not.
But also,
It's that
if we're
people
emailing,
people are not going there to use it. Like like I said, I'm still learning that things are there. But for instance, even among us, sometimes people will be looking for a certain person to call, and Sylvia will accommodate and send a list, but all that's already on the website
all on there. Yeah. It is.
directory.
I think
think
that part
people
of it is
realize things like that.
you guys are really good about emailing out information to everybody too. So you email out the voter, you email out when the next meeting is, and you email, they get an email when they have to renew. So
Oh,
they're getting all
why?
the information. And if everybody goes to like Facebook to go, or they just know to go on vote for
Right.
anyway, then maybe they're just getting the information and you don't have to make people go to the
No,
website
there's
to get it
that
if they're getting
too.
it somewhere else.
I'd also like to
And then
say,
I'll try to suggest, like, go to the website, go to the calendar, and the Zoom info is going to be there to try to like do some behavioral change, but it's not working. I don't know what else to do.
the other thing,
think
I just
so.
like to drop it in really quickly here. I know you've got other questions coming up, but also we have to populate Club Express. So if there are chats, there are chat rooms that can be set up so that, if you're working with a group of people, that it could be just for them. This could be like for all of those 34 young people, that they have a place that they can go, and this is where you share information and activities, that sort of thing. So Debbie's done an incredible job of putting out all more, information and setting it up. But we also have to take, what we're bringing to the table, what we're doing, what we're planning for February. Those, that information we need to be getting out and putting on there. And so I think that's important. I mean,
I think the chat room on Club Express is not the most important feature on there. I appreciate your example. I appreciate your example, but there's a ton of other ways people can create groups on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and whatever, and just a group text is all you really need to do that. So I don't know. And when we were first setting up Club Express, I know some of the people who'd already done it were like that part, told me not to worry about that part really.
Okay.
But just in general, yeah, you guys who are creating events, put them in the calendar, because I'm really not putting them in the calendar of Club Express. I've given you all the power to do that yourself. And then I take that information and I use it on the Facebook. I use your information to create Facebook stuff. So you guys are free to put things on the calendar, and then they will show up on the calendar. They will just show up there automatically. Now, if you guys want to do the whole thing where you get set up for volunteers, that is a little trickier, and I'm happy to teach people how to do that. So you can put in there when you need volunteers for an event and how to do that, and then people can sign up for that, and I can help anybody do that who wants to. Other than that, it's voting information, and it's other people in the club information, and it's links to other places. It's just a website.
I'm just curious, from the very beginning, when you said that you had enrolled in Club Express, because I've never received.
What do you mean by enrolled in Club Express?
Just at the beginning of your report, you said, while I was waiting, I went ahead and re-enrolled in Club Express.
I didn't say I re-enrolled. I renewed my club membership.
I'm sorry.
I renewed with the league.
You your club membership.
I just used the website to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just curious, because I have never received, maybe nobody is interested in membership, but I've never received like an email like from people that actually sign up on Club Express. Let's say they have an interest in in program, or they have an interest in social media, or whatever it is.
You can go look anytime. It's all on there for you to go look at.
No,
I don't know that it automatically sends you anything. It's just a survey.
That's why. Okay, so that's why we were doing the surveys by hand. Because we're not getting that information, or we don't know how. I don't know.
You go to the members button at the very top of the screen that says home, voter resources, get involved, news and events, about us, and members. And if you go into the members, one of the things says interests. And that thing tells you everything that we do, and anybody can sign up to be interested. You can go see who's interested in all the things, or say that you're
but it's incumbent upon us to have to go there and find out, look through 177 entries and see.
No, that's not 100. No. That's not 177. You go to members, you go to interests, And the interests are voter services, member services, education, advocacy, gatherings, communications, league opportunity. You pick the thing that you're interested in from that list, and then you can look and see who else said they were interested. Like I can pick membership. I can pick membership, and it says as I can say view members, and there's 3 people on there. It's you, Sandra Sturba Boatwright, and Sylvia Tryron Oliver. Those
That's
are all
it.
the people who said they were interested.
Okay, there's no more out there.
It's there. You
Well,
just
but
have to
no,
get the
that-
report.
Yeah, well, and
can
that's
print a
why I
report, you
kind
can
of
just go
did
look
that
at it.
sampling. It's because I didn't, I wasn't aware that you could go and see that. Like now I am, and you can
Mhm.
even email those interested people. But what there's still a gap between the hard paper and the electronic, and so it's what I was trying to figure out. Because we were the membership survey, we started distributing them before we had Club Express, because Sylvia does those orientations. So that's why we tried to create a 1-pager. But what's interesting is, we somehow, people who didn't have the opportunity, or for whatever reason they didn't know, but they didn't click those interests. So there's part of the organization is showing interest, and like I didn't know it was there, and so I haven't gotten in touch with them, which I will now do.
Yep.
But there's another half or portion of membership that hasn't gone there, and we still don't know anything about it. So it's a good time to kind of try to quilt it all together and get people to use the Club Express.
It's the same as when they sign up on a piece of paper. Some of the people will go that's on the membership form, and all of those things are listed on the membership form, and some people will check those off and some won't. So it's going to be the same way, I think, when they sign up online.
Yeah, because some people sign up online. Some people sign up online, and some people do it on paper, and then some people check off the boxes online, and some people check them off on paper, and some people just don't check them off at all.
The missing piece was that if we don't know about it as leaders, what it looks to membership like we're not paying attention to them. So people have checked something they're interested in, but I haven't followed up with them because I wasn't aware, and so I'm just.
That was mainly just an oversight in making everybody aware, I think.
Sure.
I think also it was mentioned earlier, but there was so much going on and so many different things that it got lost. I'm sorry.
No, Julie, I think it's good. It's all a good learning curve. What I'm going to use these months is to get it caught up. They're great tools. It's unbelievable. But also, I'm not using them, and that just lets me know that other people aren't either.
I think this website is like a lot of things, and that is that for a little while you use part of it and you get comfortable with that, and then you realize there's another thing, and then you realize there's another thing. And now this is mostly for individual members. It's not that big a deal. You go there, you get information. But for the actual like the people who are the heads of committees that can use it to do their jobs, the problem is there's so many things you can do, like emailing. We still want to go and like automatically email instead of email through Club Express where all the lists are. I think that you use the part that's important to you in the beginning, and then as you get more comfortable with that, you find out more, because if you try to bite it all off at once, it's too much and you just can't take it all in.
Good point, Deb.
And also, if I do get a paper membership from somebody mails me a membership form with their check, and they have checked those things off. When I enter them into Club Express, I go to that page and make their check marks.
Nice. That's
as
perfect.
well. So
that would be exactly how it would be supposed to work, because you're putting in their money and their address, you're putting in everything on that form into the system. Yeah.
Cool. Tim.
Yes, ma'am.
You have your hand up?
Oh, no, I meant to. No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. 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 All right. Very good discussion, I have to say. So thank you for all of your input on this. Deb, thank you. Always hands down, I'm in awe. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you do on this.
That said, I've been doing this for like a decade now. So if there's anybody out there who wants this job, I am perfectly willing to give it up to anybody, like older, younger, anything. So if you know of anybody else who wants to have a fun board position that they can do sitting on their couch, I'm happy to turn it over.
Thank you for letting us know that.
That was
Not
for
that
you,
we're ready
Kelly.
for you to go, but all right. Well, let's move on very quickly on to league business. I sent an invitation to Lois to present about March, and I didn't get a response, but I do have a copy of the latest minutes that they had. This was back on November the 18th. And this was what they were doing is that they were setting up their committees and who is responsible for each of the different areas. And so I can forward that. Some of you have already received this, I know, because I see your names there on the to list. So that's really important to start getting that information out to all of you. And we'll look forward to getting back, getting touch bases with Lois and yeah. And Carla was the one who had submitted this report, Carla Gardner. And so that information is here. And as I said, most of you have received it. If you did not, please let me know and I can connect you with that. Questions about March? We don't, at least I don't have, we just have mainly committee assignments, what I'm seeing here, but Anel, can you add something to that?
Yes. Carla has taken over essentially. I think the chemo is hitting Lois a little harder than she had anticipated. So
I was afraid of that.
She fortunately, before that happened, Carla volunteered to co-chair. And it is going to be back at Waters Edge Park. Where we are discussing rearranging so that the wind won't hit the vendors quite as much. And we are working on that. A lot of things will be the same and a lot of things will change. We've got a youth contest that we are working on and looking for donors to provide up to a $500, well, a $500 or more scholarship, and that's going to be an essay contest, and the winner will be invited to read their essay at the thing. Sylvia, are you still here? Sylvia Campos. One thing I'd like to use that student membership thing that you sent and hit them starting maybe in January and just continually remind them that this is coming up. So, and see if they would like to get involved. Regular membership as well, but the student members, I think, coming to a march, carrying a sign, it's not even a mile, but thank you for that separate student thing, because I'm going to make a database out of those and start emailing them and asking them. That's the kind of thing I think it might be beneficial or something that they would like to do, to actually come out on a Saturday and be a part of a march and carry a sign and listen to what we're doing. So I'm hoping that will work.
Okay, all right, thanks. Chris?
I wondered, are you ready to announce the guidelines for the contest? Can we put that in the
No, there are see, Brenda Crawley and Nancy Vera are working on those things, and the ideas for participation would be, or for the essay itself, how the fact that women couldn't vote, they lost their citizenship if they married a non-citizen, they weren't considered a citizen. So, a lot of these things are still, it might come back more. I don't have in front of me the minutes that were sent out, but when you get them from Catherine, we welcome input from anybody
So
and everybody.
So basically what I got were just mainly, it looked like these were the different committees and then who was going to be chairing and co-chairing those committees. And there were just a few of them that had question marks on them, but it wasn't anything very concrete yet, Chris. And
excuse me, Lois or
Go
I
ahead.
one will would like to put an article in the Voter about donation request for the scholarship and for the event itself. It did not
Awesome.
pay for itself last year.
But we have
Alice?
money in that account, right? We
Yes.
still have money in that
Yes.
account.
Mhm.
Yes.
So there's needs to be a budget developed. And do you think
That-
there'll be
I've already-
fundraising for the
I've done
entire
that.
league?
Yes. There
Okay.
and not for the league. This is a
Right.
multi faceted Delta Sigma Theta TAP
Mhm.
fee. You know, there are a coalition of organizations.
Okay, but
So
league
it
members
is for
individually,
yes.
league members individually, but we need to promote that. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So right now it's Anel and Carla who are over the finances and all of
Okay.
that. They're the committee chairs for that. So
Okay.
other questions for Alice?
Yeah, I was wondering when you say we would like to maybe find someone that would support that initiative with a donation, did I get that right? Are we looking for somebody?
We're putting out a request for anybody who would like to do, you don't have to do the whole amount, although that would be lovely. But donations for the essay scholarship and then also donations towards the event itself to help offset the event cost.
Well, I was just wondering because I could do a little bit of recruiting for some funds. I just needed to kind of have some direction as to whom I should be speaking with or, suggestions.
Well, I said I'm the finance committee, so are you
Okay, I can
like
talk to
who to reach out to for funds?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you can chat with me. Our next meeting is coming up December 16th. And it's not a closed committee. Anybody here that would like to either sit in on one of our meetings or join us in event preparation or whatever is more than welcome. And Tim, we will probably start getting more information to you January or February in hopes of getting this information out to the media.
Super.
And of course, Debbie, I haven't put it on the calendar. I will put it on the calendar.
But also, Anel, we have a website we have a March page. So anything you want me to put up there,
Okay.
I can just change it up from last time.
As soon as we get more details ironed out. Without Lois, we were kind of floundering for a while, but we're getting on track. Carla's going to be good.
Sounds good.
And anybody can apply for this. Write the essay for the scholarship, right?
Nope, seniors from area high schools, because it is a scholarship. We've limited it to seniors, and we're still under discussion whether it's going to be strictly limited to female seniors or if it will be open to young men as well.
Okay.
I have to
And
go.
the amount.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll see you later.
Okay, bye, Deb.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Tim?
Yeah, I just had one comment and one question. Question first, are we at 2503C recognized charities? So if somebody said, I'm going to donate 500 or 1,000, that would be a charitable donation.
We are a 501c3 and they will get a letter, stating our number and all of that.
The other one was a comment. Till a couple of years ago, I used to run the high school mock trial program here in Corpus Christi. And we gave a lot of money away to high school students who did well in that competition. And we did not limit it to just seniors. And what we did was if a junior, a sophomore, once in a while a freshman even, would win a scholarship, we would just say, okay, you won the scholarship, say in 2022, but you're a sophomore. So we're not going to give you the money now. You go away to college, in 2 years, you tell us where you're going, and then we will write a check to your university you're attending. And that's how we handled it. And I would encourage us not to limit it just to seniors. And I don't know why that would be the case. I mean, any student ought to be able to participate. And if you have a sophomore who writes a better essay than a senior, great.
Was there ever a chance that organization might have gone defunct? I mean, this is a year to year. We hope that it will be an ongoing thing
Right.
for every year. But
well, in answer to your question, no, it was basically run by the Corpus Christi Bar Association, so they're not going anywhere soon.
yeah,
But what you maybe could do is, say you got 500. Well, that's more optimistic. Say you got $1,000 in donations. So then you could, I don't know why you couldn't say the League of Women Voters will hold that money for everybody who's participating, and we'll set up a separate account. The only money that'll go in that account is these donations, except when we write the check out. So I don't think the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi is going anywhere either.
No.
So I would say there wouldn't be any risk of having the money disappear.
I'll bring that up at the next meeting. Like I said, it had not been solidified, I don't believe.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information, Anil. That's really, really important. Okay, moving along. Sally, you've been very patient. I appreciate your patience. But you've got a lot of information about what we're looking forward to, and you're muted, by the way. So
I said I was bringing up the rear. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving the nominating committee an opportunity to tell you what we've been up to. So I'm not exactly going to read. I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights here. To recap, the following offices will be voted upon at the May 2023 annual meeting. And that's going to be, of course, the president that we've had so much conversation about, the treasurer we've had even more conversation about, vice president for voter services, vice president for membership, director for social media, that's Facebook and website. Debbie just spoke to that. Concerning the treasurer, the committee received contact suggestions from board members, and we sent, in response to those names that we received, we sent individual solicitations to each one of those people. And I apologize if there's anybody we left off the list, let us know. But this is who we contacted on your behalf: Mary Kay Font, Kim Jalefka Hole, Lisa Hernandez, Christy Stockman, Sylvia Whitworth, Vicky Natali, Sabrina Avila Arredondo, Armand Alex, and Elizabeth Beth Stockley. Now, Mary Kay, Kim, Lisa, and Vicky responded individually. And two of those expressed enough interest that we followed up in email conversations with them. But no one has crossed the Rubicon yet with regard to the treasurer. We're still waiting to hear. Then concerning the entire slate and the president, our goals are to identify potential nominees and to identify the posts to be voted upon. Now, of course, we won't have new candidates for some of those posts, but we're going to be voting on them nevertheless. And the membership needs to understand that. So we're taking advantage of this drill to engage in some education. And that's both to the tasks and the contributions of our officers. Taking an opportunity to kind of blow the horns for you too. The committee has completed 2 voter newsletter solicitations consisting of a general outline broadcast for all the posts to be voted upon and a specific treasury highlight. We might in the future ask the local league's membership contact list to contact the membership with regard to the new treasurer and perhaps needs of new officers, as we're advised of needs for continuity. Some people haven't gotten together with us yet or told us what they plan to do in the future. With Julie's help, we distributed presidential solicitations at the last membership meeting. Thank you, Julie. And we understand that a presidential appeal will again go out in the December issue of the Voter. Now, depending on what might be said or what announcements might be made at this particular meeting tonight, we may or may not need that extra presidential announcement or solicitation in the Voter. Kind of hold that thought in the back of your minds. And we realize that it's unlikely that any candidate with sufficient experience is going to pop up from the general membership to satisfy the needs of the president. But those broadcasts still help us educate the membership, as I said again, to the tasks and the contributions that you officers have been making and that you will make in the future. So we have one request to make of you, of the board right now, and that is that if you occupy a seat that's going to be voted on in May, and you haven't already let us know, please confirm with the committee whether or not you have the desire and the ability to continue to serve in your current capacity. Like Debbie, she has expressed a desire to be relieved, or perhaps she's willing to help bring someone new on, or if you have any ideas with regard to finding successors, let us know. But especially if you want to stay in your present position, give us that heads up so we can kind of set aside that concern. And that's the end of my report, subject to any announcements that might be made from the board.
I'd like to make an announcement if I could, Sally. I had the pleasure of talking to Alice today, and I asked her if she would be interested in being the next president. And I am delighted to report to you all that she said affirmative to that request. And Sally sent out an email later in the day to the board members. And when she did, I responded to all the board members and said, I just want to let you all know that I will be enthusiastically supporting Alice for this position. And Alice, you don't know this, I don't know if Sally knows it, but during the meeting, I looked through those emails, and the other three members of the nominating committee were extremely enthusiastic about having Alice be the nominee, usually followed by several exclamation points. So that's what I have to report about a presidential nominee.
Well, wonderful. Well, that brings us up into the next steps, Tim. The next step then for the nominating committee is to take an official poll of all our members so that everyone will have an opportunity to officially go on the record saying that Alice has agreed to accept our nomination if it's put forth to the membership at the annual meeting.
Alice, you are an endless well. You are.
Well,
You blow my mind.
This well's gonna have to give up some things if I do that, because I've watched you guys operate for the last several years, and as I've said on many occasions, this is a juggernaut. So I told him that I would be willing to try to lead the group if I had some help. And so that's where I am.
And I was remiss a moment ago, and I offered the position to Alice if she was willing to accept it. I told her we would give her every bit of support that she would want. And I know we all think extremely highly of Alice and know that she'll be a great leader for us, but she can't do it alone. So she'll need the backup help. And I think we're all committed to giving it to you, Alice.
There may also be other nominees that come forward, or
And I get that.
yeah, people who come
Yeah.
forward for the nomination, but I think you would be excellent.
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thank you so much, every one of you. And Catherine, I've watched.
I think Catherine's almost in tears.
Well,
Careful.
I watched Catherine operate, and I've often let her know how appreciative I was for her,
Yes, you have.
her leadership.
Yes, you have. Thank you. Thank you, Alice, so very much. I appreciate that greatly. Wow.
You didn't think it was coming, did you?
My gosh darn it. My unstable internet connection won't let me see any faces. I'm so excited.
Well, maybe you can get the transcript.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you so much, Alice. This is the best news I've had in a while. I
It's a Christmas
appreciate it.
present.
Yes, yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Thank you.
Sally,
Thank you, Tim.
impeccable work, impeccable work. It's your approach to this and the committee's approach to this is just so, it's so, I've lost words now. You can tell I'm still jet lagged, no, but it just the depth and the way that you go about handling this is just impeccable, and it's so conscientious in terms of service to what this organization needs and the wealth of people that you can draw upon. And so thank you and your committee for the work that you're doing. It's not always a job that's easy, but it is with heartfelt thanks that all of you are doing this.
I appreciate the gratitude, but I do want to say this, that this has been an unusual set of service, so to speak, on the nominating committee's part. It's been unusually easy, and it's been easy because of the terrific job that you've done, Catherine, and all the rest of the board to take the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi forward. You've just absolutely made quantum leaps in service to the community. You have inspired, you've been inspirational. And when you inspire and you draw people to you, there's competition for those positions that were once regarded as poison scepters. They're not desired. And that's why our job is getting easier all the time. Now, we'll probably have to eat those words when it comes to having to replace the treasurer, but we're going to keep working on it. But thank you all so much.
I'm sorry, Sally, on that note, those two you said that had been a second contact, would you mind either contacting them or giving me their names after the meeting, and I might contact them about serving on the budget committee, and that might give them a little more insight into the job.
Well, I'll give them to you right now. It's really, you're already familiar with Mary Kay Font.
Oh God, yes.
Mary was responsive. And Vicky Natali.
Thank you, Vicky, if she's still on here. Okay.
So those were the two that we had additional conversations with, but they haven't, they're still mulling it over, so to speak, but not quite there yet.
Well, Mary has been invaluable in the past. She's a past treasurer, and she's also served with the budget committee and the oversight committee. So yeah, I'll contact both of them.
Well, this is outstanding. And again, just thank you so much for all of the work that you're putting into this. It's not an easy task, and I know that. And so I appreciate your willingness to do this. I'd like to move on just really quickly. Sally, do you have anything? Were you going to speak anything else about a nominating committee?
No, I'm through with nominating committee.
Okay. I just wanted to come back to Sally. You had a question about on some of our fundraising for the Women's Equality Day dinner. And so can you share those concerns with us this evening?
Well, basically, during the last session of the policy committee, we made an amendment or an adjustment to that part of and I don't have well, I do have it right here in front of me. Just take me a while to find it. But anyway, it's that part of our policy, our written policy, that deals with gifts and potential for conflicts of interest. And it read that we would not accept monetary support from politicians, political personalities, or anyone who had partisan affiliations. And it probably would have been, wouldn't have even come to anyone's attention, but we talked about it in the voter in regard to tables that were associated with some of our local politicians. And it wasn't like school board or the city council. These were our partisan politicians, our representatives, and our state senator. And I know that in the past, we had done this. And that was one of the reasons why we addressed it in the policy that we reworked, so that perhaps we would not do it again. But it was a wonderful, successful fundraiser. I think that people got enthusiastic, and it was important in getting together again and having a face-to-face, that perhaps that portion of our policy was just overlooked or forgotten. And it's not.
Yeah, go ahead.
To speak informally, it's not a hanging offense. It's just something that we overlooked. And if we don't agree with it, then we need to either do away with it, adjust it, change it. But if we're going to have a written policy that we all that we all participated in, if we're going to ignore it, then it's better. And you're not going to go to the board and say, well, we want to make an exception. And there's always an opportunity for the board to make an exception. But if you're not going to do that, then it's best to respect or honor that written policy until you change it. And I believe that it's probably appropriate that party politicians who belong to the League of Women Voters, our local league, should be welcome to attend any kind of dinner or event if we sell a ticket and they come as individuals. But when we call them and we ask them to buy a table at a fundraiser, we are engaging in solicitation. And that's a word that's used in our policy. We're not to solicit and accept monetary support from partisan politicians. And basically that was my concern. Also, another thing is that if we look at it this way, and I can understand the reasoning, well, we gave them an equal opportunity to participate and buy a table. We didn't discriminate against anyone. We were bipartisan. But keep in mind that the League of Women Voters is not bipartisan. We are nonpartisan. And when we give party politicians an opportunity, an equal opportunity to support us with money, that equal opportunity invitation is not extended on an even playing field, because the parties in Nueces County are not equally funded. Some of them are flush and some of them are not. So whoever has the deepest pocket and the most resources is going to be able to buy the tickets, and they're going to be able to buy the tables, and they're going to have the advantage of our gratitude and the benefit of the publicity that we give them for that, as we did. And I just think that these are things we need to think about and either do better by it if we want to keep the policy. And if we think the policy needs to be changed or adjusted, then we should do it perhaps through the new policy guideline committee. And those are my thoughts.
Now, does that, excuse me, I see what you mean about reaching out to them and soliciting their attendance. I had thought when you initially brought it up was that we had thanked the buyers, the people who had bought a table, and we had published that in the voter. And so I can see that you know, that's putting their name on our voter, our publication, and also on the program for the evening. So I can see dispensing with that and just explaining, you know, to them that I don't know. I see your point. But I'm not quite sure. Maybe it can be discussed in the policy in the, you know, upcoming policy committee. Or Catherine, you're looking puzzled.
No, I think I was, you know, when in setting up this event and doing the necessary fundraising for this event, and for what those funds would be used for, I can see very well where you're coming from with this, Sally. And I think that I'm comfortable with inviting elected officials to an event. I didn't see, and I need to go back, and I'll have to be honest, I need to go back and look at the voter newsletter that listed the tables. But that was in essence free publicity for them. And I recognize that. And that's falls in my lap for not checking into that ahead of time. But I do think, if we're going to look at this, and I think probably we should, because the question has come up, that the policies committee should look into this and what our policy is. But I think we need to, again, also remember that it was the furthest thing from my point of view. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about is this is a time, an opportunity for people to respect that women got the right to vote. And that was my, that was my little gold star up there. How could you not want to celebrate that? And so to my knowledge, there were only 2 tables. Is this true? There were only 2 tables that politicians, I don't remember.
I think there were 3, although I may be wrong. One of them maybe bought 7 tickets or something. No, the third one came in at the end. Or 2, Abel Herrero and the ones whose offices burned down and didn't show. They shared a table.
Mm-hmm.
And then that very, very late one that came in like the day before or 2 days before. And I can't remember who else there was. I could probably find it if I could find that notebook. But there were 2 I know of, maybe 3.
Okay. Well, I think what I'm wanting to say is that, yes, let's look at it. Let's have that discussion again. We do know that State League doesn't have a problem with it, but we need to do what's right is best for us. And I just think it's worth another look at.
Well, I realize, Catherine, because I too had checked it out with the State League,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't have a policy against it. But the State League in Austin operates in a liberal environment in a different political arena
True.
than we do
True.
in Nueces County. And we could unwittingly be unintentionally be putting a certain party and it could be either one, at a disadvantage if they don't have the financial resources to buy a table at the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi. We have influence. Tom, Tim has picked up on it. Alice has picked up on it. We're targets in a number of different ways.
Yes.
And some of them really want our influence, and some of them would just really like to see us step off a cliff.
Yep.
But as I said, I respect, and I know that we're not in trouble with the state league. The only thing that we need to decide about is our own policy, and
Sure.
whether or not we need to abide by it or we need to adjust it. Because if I did not know who all was involved in the fund, I wasn't able to make the fundraiser, and I just knew that it was a great success. And then I read the report of it in the Voter, and I thought, we need to be aware of that policy that we worked so hard on and that has a history. We have one particular representative who you all know well, who 10 years ago we repented. We not repented. We repented. We printed in our Voter for years his official gold-plated advertisement with his state representative seal on it. This is a flagrant violation of campaign violations. But we were a little bit looser then, and we've tried to become more discreet and more compliant with our nonpartisan situation, or what we profess to be nonpartisan.
Right.
Can
Well, again, go ahead. Sure.
I show that 2 hands are raised, but the people who have their video off, if you raise your hand, we can't see it. So you might want to if you've raised your hand via the raise hand icon. Julie. Okay. Okay. Now, Catherine, I'm sorry, go back. I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to make
No,
sure.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Alice
Who's
was first, I think.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Alice.
I just like to kind of weigh in on this as well. And I agree with Sally 100%. Policy is our best friend. And if we are going to have a policy, we need to keep that policy, have a fidelity in keeping that policy. And yes, we do have a different political machine down here. We know that Nueces County is a red county. We know that, and we know too that our representative, specifically, who we're not calling names, but everybody understands what's at play here. And so, and I like what Sally said when she said that there's a difference in bipartisan and nonpartisan. And I think that is something that we really need to be vigilant about. If we felt like we were doing, equal time and resources to both major parties, that still would not satisfy what we're trying to do, because there are other parties also that typically end up on the ballots. They typically don't win, but we don't want to be perceived as giving, as feeding into one particular individual or other. So my major comment here is that I think that we should probably, if we're going to take a look at this, my suggestion too is to just agree to sell individual tickets and not have not go with somebody's official seal or sponsorship or all of that. If we're going to have that, and if that person wants to buy tickets for any individual, that's going to be on that individual. But as far as buying a table and sponsoring people to sit at that table, I think that does send the wrong message. And I think that we should probably tighten up our behavior in terms of that. And I know, to you, Catherine, I agree that I know that you didn't do that purposefully. I know that our goals are what we keep our heads in are the goals that we have. And so it can easily happen to any one of us at any given time unless we make a concerted effort to make sure that we streamline this situation and follow the guidelines to a T. And I think that is so important, because otherwise it's going to compromise the idea that we are nonpartisan. Anybody can raise an issue. If that stuff is out there and they recognize it, they can raise that issue and we'll have egg on our face. So that's all I have to say. I think we need to come circumspect to the policy and follow the policy.
You're muted.
You had
Okay.
your hand up a while ago.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That Alice covered exactly what I was thinking. And then part of that exercising discretion, it appears to me, would be if we were to do sponsorships, to not list them or advertise it like that, or make it look like free advertising. But just doing single seats, takes that away. But in order to do that, you would have to maybe define that better in the policy, which could be done easily, like everyone said, with the policy bylaw committee. That's all.
Okay. Thanks. Tim.
I just wanted to add, I think it's really important that we always be perceived as nonpartisan. And I think if there's any wiggle room, that somebody could use that against you if they wish to.
Absolutely.
So going forward, and I don't think anything was really done wrong here. Maybe I'm reading too much in from my years of being a lawyer, but when we were always super cautious of not having a conflict of interest or even a perceived conflict of interest. I would say going forward, just need to be super careful. And probably the way to handle it would be, as we've discussed here, that if somebody is a member, they want to, purchase an individual seat, wonderful. Like I think my wife is sitting next to Barbara Canales, who was a candidate. Great, fine. But if we had, Barbara Canales featured on the program, that probably would not have been appropriate. And I'm not picking on Barbara because that's who was there. So that's kind of my thought on it. So I would say always err on the side of caution on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So Sally, I think you're hearing, although we don't have, a quorum here, but I think, to go ahead and get started, I think to relook at that section and perhaps rephrase it in a way that speaks directly to this. Yeah, am I making sense?
Certainly, I think that we could probably keep the language that we've got and then just insert a clarifying sentence that
Okay.
speaks directly to our annual fund. We use it as an example. As for example, at our annual fundraiser, and I'm just shooting from the hip here, political personalities or those that we've listed are welcomed and encouraged to buy individual tickets, period.
There you go.
I had thought that I wouldn't volunteer to be on policy again. I can remember telling the board, well, I really put in my 2 cents worth. But if you need a non-board person on policy again that had some experience the last time around, I'm willing to be drafted.
I think that would be good. I think
Do we have a policy, bylaws and policy committee yet?
we had talked earlier, we talked about that we need to form one, but I think the language is okay, Sally, and adding an example. A challenge is, to me, it's kind of like trying to get people to go to the Club Express and use it. I don't know if everyone understands the language. Is there a way to put it more in layman's terms? Like, here's what we mean, A, B, C, because also what people are going to have to be skilled at is this is another behavior change where people who were used to buying tables can be offended, and that's not our intention either. And so that's the beauty of a policy or having anything codified is we can say our policy is this, but, you know, ABC. But I don't know if people can necessarily do that with the language that we have right now.
And I can tell you from a Club Express standpoint, buying the tables and listing the people that they were going to have at their table was a disaster. It was just awful. It's not speaking against or for the tables, but from a Club Express, it wasn't set up properly.
Well, that's even more perfect if we just go to single seats. I'm just saying, just be able to explain to people, look, here's our policy on fundraising. Individuals and members are more than happy to have you participate.
And bring as many people as you like.
But we're not going to advertise it. I mean, you know, it's not going to be mentioned that you're a political candidate, yada, yada. You're no different than anyone else. You're an individual or a member.
That's right.
Well, I thank you, Sally, for bringing this up, and my apologies to all of you that I didn't stay on top of this and see it as it
Nobody did.
as we're seeing. And so thank you, Sally, for bringing this to our attention and my attention in
I want to
particular.
say one more thing. Yeah, and I want to thank Sally and you too, Catherine. I don't think you need to apologize.
No.
Everyone did great with that dinner. It's a change. The changes are hard. They don't come naturally, and it takes a while. One time, I know we need to go, but I heard a story about when they had the Chernobyl and back in the day, that nuclear accident, and the deer that lived in that area, they had put up a fence around Chernobyl, and they had to change their grazing, the way they ate and grazed. And then eventually the deer could go back and eat, and they removed the fence, but the deer still wouldn't go eat because it was used to doing it the way it always had. And so all the policy did was take the fence down, but we're learning how to graze. So it's okay. No one did anything wrong.
Well, again, you know, in this role, it's, you know, it's my responsibility to be as up on things as possible. And so I let the ball drop on this, and I do feel like an apology is necessary. Sally?
Can I say something here?
Sure.
I was disappointed, not in Catherine. I was disappointed when it came time for us to publish our amendments and changes to both the bylaws and the policy. Of course, the changes to the bylaws was publicized in our annual meeting. Was it what do we call it? The program, not to be confused with Julie's program.
Yeah,
the workbook.
It's the workbook.
We did not publicize our changes to policy in that workbook. And now I was on the outside of things.
I should have seen that.
But I thought to myself, I wonder if maybe we might not be shortchanging ourselves because we're not publicizing the changes we're making to policy. And that's what we live by from day to day.
And I think that's important because we can make changes to policy at any time during the year. It doesn't have to wait until the annual meeting.
And the you know, in amendments that were publicized, you know, essentially were major changes. And you know, there weren't any major changes to the bylaws that didn't require it. The ones that were major, you know, required the amendment. And so maybe as we go through the policy guide, we just need to look for that opportunity again and see if it's something that is strong enough to require an amendment and more than a board vote, a membership vote, or I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think that when when both the bylaws and Tim, I'm hoping you'll appreciate this. I'm hoping that perhaps when the bylaws and the policies are republished in that workbook, if you would simply put the changes in red type so that people's attention would be called to it, that this is something new. You don't have to strike out the old language. Of course, ideally from what we call a legislative format standpoint, that would be ideal so that people could actually see what has changed and how it's changed. We didn't do that. I think that probably there was some narrative that talked about our changes, but those changes were not highlighted in the documents that we produced in our workbook.
I don't think that type of document should go in the workbook, but it could go out to the membership in advance.
Beforehand.
Yeah,
advance.
because the document in the workbook should be the working document. I think, you know, what, like we did previously, highlighting and striking through and so on, you know, a finished copy of that with, you know, the strikeouts and highlights where we added things, strikeouts where we took them out, could be, you know, sent to the membership. This is what you're doing. Do you have any comments, questions, problems with it? But I think when it's published in the annual workbook, it should, you know, after all of those things and any comments from the general membership are taken into consideration, that a finished product should be what's in the annual workbook.
Well, I agree that a finished product should be there, but I would still urge that new language that is added or language that represents a change from the old way of doing things be highlighted in red, because as a non-board member, the only access I have to those policies and those bylaws as a general member is off the website. And if I don't understand that something has changed, the only place that I'm going to get that heads up as a member is going to be in that workbook. And it's not cast in stone. These are just thoughts on my part to help, as Julie was talking about, helping us learn how to do things that are different from our old habits.
I can see your point. I can see your point on that, Sally. And in doing that, I'm not disagreeing. What I am thinking is that, you know, since these two things, one, making sure that we are clarifying what these two documents are, you know, that one is part of our Constitution, if you will. These are our bylaws. This is what we live by. And that the policy guide are things that enable us to do those things that we outline, that we promote in. And so they're like the, I don't know what's the word. They tell us how to do those things that are the more of the day-to-day activities instead of the global structure that are the bylaws. And they are ways of, I'm not putting this well.
Standard operating procedures?
Yeah.
In light of those bylaws. And so those are going to change. And as it's set up now, we can change those bylaws at any time. It's not tied to that annual meeting.
Oh, we can change the policy, not the bylaws.
Right.
The bylaws,
you can change the policies. Right. Exactly. And so it's not dependent on.
They're mutually exclusive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. So I'm thinking, well, I think we need to be very transparent when we make changes to
Mhm.
both of these. One of them doesn't have to wait until the annual meeting. And for instance, in this case, we really want to get the word out. We want to look at this again and make changes. And those changes can go out between now and then.
In other words, we can amend or change our bylaws anytime.
Policy guide.
It's the policy.
Policy guide.
Policy guide, which
Policy
is our
guide.
standard operating procedures.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so, well, can I just say this also? And I'm sorry if I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of Tim. He's had his hand up. Is that just, was that from the last desire to speak, or? Okay, well, anyway, I was thinking what Sally was indicating about strikeouts and color, changing the colors of, or making the colors change, indicates what was and what has been. And that's, and I'm not sure if that's some kind of official parliamentary procedure type policy tampering, but I know that as a board member, when we are asked to vote on the changes in our bylaws or our policy, what we receive is all the strikeouts, all the things that are coming out, and the new things coming in a different color. And it does help us to be able to look back at what was and why and how we are it's going to change. And it does help a lot, because many times in my experience, when I'm looking at those that policy guide, there are things that I want to see, well, okay, yes, this has changed. How has it changed? And in many cases, we offer a reason why this has changed based on this or based on such and such and such. So I think that for whatever purpose that we might need, I think that if we could have a policy guide that when we make our changes, that we actually receive the old policy with the strikeouts, and the new policy with our changes or our amendments, so that it can help us see where we've been and where we're going.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, that's just.
And Alice, that is called legislative draft form.
Okay, I thought it had a specific name, but I wasn't sure. Legislative draft form. That's that. Well, we do that on the board. Now, I know that our league organization and the board are two different things, but it's good practice.
Okay. Okay. Tim, did you have another comment?
Yeah, if these documents are in Word, it's really easy to just tell Word to track changes, and it'll automatically say I'm striking out this, and it's got a line. It's another color. It says this is what we're adding. So I'm guessing, Alice, that when you're on the school board there, probably your lawyer or somebody on the CCISD staff does that in Word, and that's how you see what's going out and what's going in. So it's real easy to do.
So let me just say this. Is there some way to do, I mean, I've don't have it in front of me when we're doing a not bylaws, but a policy guide change. If the bylaws and the policy guides are addressed at the same time, is there some way to put a distance so that there's not confusion?
Differentiated.
Yeah, differentiate between
two different documents.
And also the timing in which. You see what I'm saying?
I see where you're coming from, Catherine. The thing about it, the reason I think that policy is usually dealt with in the same time frame as bylaws is this.
Okay.
If you have a change in bylaws, it might automatically change how you handle policy.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That
Now,
makes sense to me.
okay, so I would say that as a general rule, anytime you monkey with or you adjust your bylaws, you're going to need to consider how that might impact your
The
need
policy.
for policy change
Mhm.
on them. But hold that thought in the back of your mind, because you can still change your policy,
Okay.
your day-to-day recipe book,
Operation.
as a matter of discretion through the board. I
Yes.
don't recall that policy has to go to membership for voting,
Right. It doesn't.
but the bylaws do.
Right.
So the board can take the initiative to deal with policy and adjustments to written policy at any time it sees
Right.
fit.
Right. Right. So this is something that we could do in advance of, because we're already talking about March coming up. And we just want to make clear, I mean, it's not the same scenario, but again, it is about making sure that we have those, we
Guidelines.
do what we say, those guidelines, that we're doing what we say we do.
Mhm.
And so to have that, and I know that I can't remember right now off the top of my head how many people it takes to do the policies committee. But it may just be, I'll have to look at that. I don't know if it's,
I've got it
It was
somewhere.
4 of us the last time, because I was on there on that
Mhm.
committee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
and
So
let me,
there was Alice and Anil,
And Chris.
Chris and myself,
Mhm.
and Liz Riggle.
and
So it's
Liz
5
Riggle.
and Liz Rickle. Okay. And
That's-
so that was for both bylaws and
Yeah.
policy.
It-
Okay.
It's
That's
in
right.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're supposed to require 2 board members. I thought it was in there, but it's not. It's in our policy guide somewhere.
I know somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not finding it off the top of my head.
Not me either. Membership. I hope we didn't somehow end up taking it out. I don't think we did. Meetings.
I'm just not seeing it.
Mm-mm.
What part are you looking for?
How many members of committees
Um,
are required?
well, we had 5. Would we have been in,
Yeah, that was plenty. The recommended, I believe, is 2 and 2, but I may be
okay.
responsible for that. 2 different documents, but it doesn't say how many.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
President.
Maybe that's
Executive
something we need
committee.
to also put in.
No, it was there.
No, it was there. I was pretty sure it was there.
I don't have my book with me, so.
Well, I think,
Okay.
can I say, is it safe to say that that's not it.
The financial
That we need to
oversight.
make it, we need to make a change, and I think we need to do it
Immediately.
immediately.
Mhm. I agree. Because we want to make sure that we are in compliant with our
Mhm.
our guidelines and with our standard operating procedures and with our mission. We just don't want to muddy the water.
Right.
And if there's anything that needs to be done that we are right now have been apprised of, it behooves us to take
To do it.
immediate action,
I
because
agree.
if we drag our feet, then we can be pulled in on the carpet.
Okay, under policy guide, the budget committee appointed by the board and is responsible for producing a balanced budget for the upcoming year, but it doesn't say
I mean,
how many. Financial oversight does specifically state that it's at least 2 members not serving on the board will be invited to conduct the oversight at the board's discretion. A committee may be appointed consisting of 3 members, 2 of whom shall be board members. And I think we've always just kind of accepted that as the guideline. But I know who could tell us would be Chris. So we might want to check with her. Bylaws and policy review doesn't have it that specifically either. But I think what we've used in the past that
I think
it has to
wasn't
be
it?
3 members.
Was it?
well,
Yeah.
does it say a minimum of 3 or does it say 3? Because that language makes a difference.
3 members. 3
Yeah.
members, 2
members.
of whom shall be board members.
Okay.
And that's the financial oversight.
Yeah, actually it says at least 2 members not serving on the board will be invited to conduct the oversight. At
So
the
there's some
board's
discretion.
At the board's discretion, a committee may be appointed consisting of 3 members, 2 of whom shall be board members. So that kind of contradicts itself.
Where are you looking now? What article?
I'm on page 25, article 4, G.
Yeah, that
That's the
puts it
financial
up
oversight.
Right, but
against
I'm
3.
saying I think that's where we
Yeah.
pulled from for the other committees. But like I said, Chris would probably know this off the top of her head, but I think
But it's a different because it says H, bylaws and policy guide review. This committee is appointed by the board and is responsible for producing the content of these 2 documents.
right, but it doesn't give a specific membership for the committee. You know,
Well,
like,
if
Because
it's- if
also
it's-
at
if
the
it
end
doesn't-
of, at section L under that, or item L under that same section, it says committees may be created and appointments may be made as necessary to meet administrative needs, including but
There
not
you
limited to annual bylaws and policy guide reviews and
There you
studies and
go.
issues research and ad hoc committees. So there's not any defined number. The board can
It's at our
define
discretion.
set the number at our discretion. Yes.
and
Yes.
I remember some discussion, and it may have been from Chris, that, you know, the ideal is 2 and 2.
Mhm.
At least 2 and 2. 2 board members, 2 non-board members. But, you know, maybe we need to write that in so we don't have this discussion every year.
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
think-
maybe make a list, because the only thing that really spells numbers out
Mhm.
that's very explicit is that financial oversight committee.
Right.
And I think that contradicts itself.
Yeah, so if you're gonna call, if a policy committee is gonna come together and change and improve the language we have already on the events
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
coalitions, then they could, adjust this at the same time, so we could have
Yeah,
one vote
need-
on 2 changes.
Yeah.
Is Sally
G,
there? Is Sally and Tim, is that something y'all could help with?
Sure.
I'm willing.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
So
And
G, we're looking at G and L then, right? Or G
You need
and
to look at that
G
whole item,
and
that whole 3, item 4, policy regarding, it just needs to conform.
Committees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, where some have numbers, some don't. So you need to either have a full number policy or take out
Yeah.
the numbers, But I would suggest too, Alice, I know you're extremely busy, but since you were already on the committee before and you'll be incoming president probably if you're a
She's
part
already
of-
on budget.
Yeah. But just make sure you know what's going on with this conversation as well,
Mhm.
because you'll be dealing with it more than Catherine.
Right.
Although Catherine
I'm
will
sorry.
too, and she'll be the president ex officio. I just think it's important that both of y'all are involved in on that.
Well,
Sure.
we
I
called
really-
on Catherine a lot of times when we did it previously, and I don't mind doing what I did last time. You know, I just essentially took direction and it did the typing. And
That would be a good thing, Anel.
yeah, I don't mind doing that part again, because I know
Okay.
people who are more well versed in this than I.
Well, I
If
don't
we
want to
could
be,
knock it out
I
by
don't,
January or February, all
well,
we
I
need
don't
to
want
do
to
is
be
be able to vote.
presumptive,
Mhm.
as it's a done deal on the president's spot. But I do take, Julie, what you say into consideration, because I don't, as Anel has said, you know, there may be others from the floor that may throw their name in, but I do take your what you're saying as instructive. Thank you.
So since we don't have a full board here, I think that what I need to take to the full board is that we do immediately
Yes.
put together a policy guide review committee to go over the changes that we have just identified
Yes.
that need to be changed
And
immediately.
I need to step away for just a moment. We had a large grocery order that just came in and John's got it all to himself right now. I'll be right back. I just
Okay.
want to look at a
Okay.
couple of things.
Okay. So, and then do, and I know that G, the Financial Oversight Committee, if that's the kind of the standard that we're going by. Or just such other committees that may be created as necessary. And I think this is it. I think, you know, that we can use this as a guideline that we have 3.
I think bringing those other items into line with that, I think would be the easy way to go about it. And just
Once
let
it's
that, yeah.
once
let
it's
that-
been corrected, when it
Right.
doesn't, it's not like you contradicting itself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
It shouldn't be that difficult.
right. Tim, do you have a question?
Yeah, not a question. I was looking for a digital copy of the bylaws and I was unable to find it. If somebody has a copy, if you could kindly shoot me a copy of it. My email is RELAMPAGO@AOL. I'll put it in the chat. But I thought I had a digital copy, but I do not. Ideally, a copy in Word if there is one.
Okay. I thought that, didn't Debbie say that there is a copy in a file folder with documents?
He says he's good. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Did anything happen?
No,
Not
no,
really.
not of consequence.
Tim is seeking a copy of bylaws and policy, and Alice, I believe there is, but it's probably PDF. You would think, I wouldn't think we would put a Word document
Yeah.
up on.
Yeah, but I
On
think
the
he just
internet.
wants to be able to read it and see what we're
Okay.
talking about, right, Tim?
Well, yes, but ideally, Alice, if it was in Word, then we could do a track changes on it real easily.
Right.
Well, we do have a Word copy, you know, from the committee last year.
Yeah. Now,
And there's a PDF on the website.
Anel, could you send me and Sally a copy of the Word version?
Okay.
I'll put my email address in the chat there.
Okay, I've got it.
That'll make
All right.
the review.
Well,
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I think Pip would be happy to know this, Catherine. There's a Dolly Parton movie that's about to start in 7 minutes that I really need to be excused for.
Okay.
What's
I
the
have to
movie,
show you.
Julie? Which one?
It's a brand new movie, like Magic
Oh.
on Christmas Mountain or something. I know I saw Willie Nelson was in it.
Oh, let me
Oh.
get this. Oh, don't go away.
Super. Wow, super.
This is my granddaughter's Halloween costume.
Oh, sweet.
Okay, yep.
Oh, it went
Can't
away.
see it. Yep.
It went away. Okay,
I can't get in the movie.
closer. Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
just,
That's really cute. It's going off and on, but I saw it.
She wanted to be Dolly Parton for Halloween, and
Yeah.
so our daughter-in-law, who is a master's in hair, costume, and makeup design,
Oh,
did her
goodness.
costume for her.
I love
And she
Dolly Parton.
loves, and she sings Jolene.
Oh,
How old is she, Catherine?
6.
Oh,
And she
wow.
wants to, she wants to go to Dollywood, not to Disney World.
Wow.
That's my dream. We'll
So she
tell her I'll
sings
meet her
Jolene.
there.
Huh? I love
Okay.
that. I love to hear her sing Jolene.
Mhm.
Another time.
Okay, right.
Catherine,
All right.
All right.
you have to
Get outta
record it and
here.
make it available at the next meeting.
All right, so where we stand is that we're going to, Tim and Sally and Anel are going to be put together a plan
Okay.
forward
The changes,
to
Well,
look
what-
at the changes in those.
the
Maybe
bylaws
just-
and
Well,
policy.
we've got the three of us on the line here. I will send out an email to Sally and to Anel and say, hey, look at your respective calendars. Let's pick a time to get together for a Zoom call. How's that?
Okay, and we need to add a non-member. Oh, Sally's a non-member because she's a chair.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
I think you're good to
Alrighty.
go.
and she was on that the last time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Mel,
All
send
right.
you an email for me in just a few minutes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a
Bye.
great Christmas.
Bye all.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Thank you
everybody
all.
have a
Thank
good
you
Christmas.
all.
I just
Thank
want
you
to let
all. Thank
everybody